Hi everyone! The story that I'll be telling I'm using to connect to a grade 3 science lesson in biodiversity, but of course this story could connect to so many different subjects and lessons, and I'll be making a few notes about that after I tell the story. Good morning class! Today I would like to share a story with you to start our lesson. When we tell a story, we want to first introduce ourselves and introduce the story and its background. So, my name is Michelle Rivette, my mother is Cindy Hamilton, and my father is Joe Lonsdale, and I was raised in Merritt, BC. The story that I would like to share with you comes from the Skagit Nation, which is an indigenous nation in Washington, just below the border. And I connect to this story because I have ancestry from Skagit Nation, as well as Métis. You may have heard a similar version of this story, but if you listen closely, you'll see that this version has a twist to what you are used to. While I'm sharing this story, I would like you all to get your gears going and notice anything that you hear about the animals in the story and what they are doing at this time of year and in this place, which you can assume would be near Washington. You can keep these ideas in your head, or if you prefer, you could write them down while you're listening, and that way you won't forget it and you can continue listening to the story. I personally would write down my ideas while I'm listening. Raven used to live high up in the upper Skagit River country. He was very lazy. In summer, when all the other animals were getting ready for winter gathering food, Raven would be hopping from rock to stump and stump to rock, making fun of them. He laughed at his cousin Crow when Crow said, "You should follow Squirrel's example and get ready for winter." Raven never got ready for winter. But now the snow had covered all the ground and all the food, and Raven was in big trouble. He was hungry, and he loved to eat. He thought, who can I ask for some food? I know, Squirrel's got lots of food. He's got pine nuts and seeds and other things. I'll go ask Squirrel. So he went to Squirrel's nest in an old fir tree. Squirrel just reprimanded him. Squirrel said, "No, you were lazy and you made fun of everyone. You deserve to starve. I'm not giving you any food." So Raven went on his way thinking, okay, that didn't work. Who else can I go ask? Maybe I'll ask Bear. So he went to Bear's cave, but Bear was in a deep sleep and could not be wakened. Raven looked around for some food, but there was none around. Bear had eaten it all and was sleeping all through the winter. So Raven continued on his way, thinking, who can I ask? Everyone is either stingy like Squirrel, or they're sleeping like Bear or Marmot, or they've flown south for the winter like the snowbirds. I know, he thought. I'll ask Crow, and Crow will be easy to trick. So he went to his cousin Crow's house, his cousin Crow's nest, and he said, "Crow, everyone is so excited for your potlatch." "I didn't plan a potlatch," said Crow. He was very confused, but Raven just ignored him. Raven went on, "Everyone is so excited for your potlatch and they're so excited to hear you sing. You have such a beautiful voice." Crow was still confused. "I didn't plan a potlatch," he said. "And does everyone really like my singing?" "Of course," said Raven. "The winter's cold has made everyone sad and hungry, and hearing you sing with your beautiful voice will really cheer everyone up. Everyone's so excited, and they'll be so disappointed if you don't sing at your potlatch." Crow started to think about it a little more, and he thought, oh, okay, yeah, I mean, if everyone wants to hear me sing, then that sounds nice. So Raven said, "You get started cooking all your food and practicing your singing, and I'll go invite all of the animals to your potlatch." So the more Crow thought about it and he was cooking up all his food and practicing his singing, the more excited he got, and Raven went along his way. Raven went to invite everyone. He said, "Come to my potlatch. Come to Raven's potlatch. It'll be a great occasion. I'm putting on the best potlatch, and Crow is helping and will sing for us." So the day came, and all of the animals showed up to Crow's nest for the potlatch. Raven was welcoming everyone in. He said, "Come on in, welcome to my potlatch. Eat as much as you like." So Crow finally sat down to try to eat, and Raven said, "Crow, please sing us a song. You can't sing with your mouth full." So Crow sang the song while everyone else was busy stuffing their faces. And then every time Crow sat down to eat, Raven would ask for another song. "You can't sing on a full stomach," he'd say, and Crow would sing another song while everyone stuffed their faces. Everyone kept getting Crow to sing so much that Crow wasn't able to eat anything, and everybody else got very full. He sang all day and through into the night, until his voice could only go, "Caw, caw." He was ruining his singing voice by singing too much, and he hadn't had any food. So when the potlatch was done, it was the custom that everybody would take the leftovers for their journey home. Everyone had gone. Even Raven had taken some leftovers and he had gone. Crow was cleaning up. He thought, "I didn't get anything to eat. I'm still hungry. At least I'll be invited to everyone else's potlatches and I can have some food there." Because it was the custom, and when somebody invited you to a potlatch, you would have to host one and invite them. So Crow thought, "I'll be getting all of these invitations, and I'll be able to go to these dinners and I'll be able to eat." However, everyone who was invited thought that it was Raven's potlatch, and so Crow didn't get any invitations. No one invited him to their potlatches. Raven was able to eat for years and years at other people's potlatches, and he was just fine. But Crow, he just had to go asking for men for food, and that's why you see him now in the grocery store parking lots, begging for food and going caw, caw, caw. So there are very many themes that we can get from this story and things we can think about. But as I said before we told the story, I want you to be thinking about the animals that were mentioned in the story and what they're doing at this time of year and in this place, because we want to talk about biodiversity. So we want to talk about which animals live in this area, because this story comes from Washington, which is quite close to Vancouver. And we also want to think about what the different types of animals are doing and how they prepare for winter and what they do over winter. So if I could get a show of hands, what kind of things everybody heard, any notes that you took while you were listening to the story. So hopefully it's pretty clear to understand how this story ties into a lesson about biodiversity. However, I did want to mention a few other ways that you could use this story to tie into other lessons in other subject areas. So a good entry point is to talk about the way that Crow was tricked by flattery by Raven, and that could tie into treaty lessons or lessons about early contact. You could also use it to tie into maybe an SEL lesson about understanding other people's motives when we're talking about relationships. And then of course, if you are using this story in any sort of language arts class, the common theme of the trickster, which could be coyote, it could be raven, it could be other types of animals depending on the area that the story is coming from. That's always a really big theme in Indigenous oral history and oral stories and literature, is the trickster. So that would obviously be something that you would want to look at in a lesson in language arts. I think that's all that I have on my mind right now, but would totally be opening to hearing more connections that people thought of while they were hearing the story. Thanks for listening.